Yeah, and then like I said, the whole talk of the Russell Wilson transitions into our next topic that I want to cover, which is the whole Russell Wilson thing that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I want to give my 2 cents into it just because as a Bears fan, I've been, you living on cloud 9 with the idea of it even happening, but I want to kind of stop everybody's hopes a little bit, and I want everybody to realize
Oh,
that if Russell Wilson is traded, he will have a $39 million dead cap hit to the Seahawks this year.
yeah.
In a team that's not trying to rebuild, especially because I mean, they literally said, when asked, what's this, the head coach, I can't his
Pete
name is
Carroll.
Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll even said he's like, "I'm in my 70s, I'm not trying to rebuild." So it's one of those where there's probably like a 5% chance that he gets traded anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so I would say really like 95% you're gonna see Russell Wilson in a uniform next year for the Seahawks. However, it is great to talk about all I because it actually was a lot more like, usually when I hear these rumors and the Bears are included, it's usually not there's not a whole lot behind it, but this actually had like, I kept seeing stuff that had a lot behind it with, like, him talking about how much he loves the city, how he would love to be a legend here, how the fans are spectacular, and him mentioning to his teammates that he loves the city, and him having said that he's loved Chicago and the Bears. It's just
Yeah, when did
it was a
that start? I
lot.
never heard of that before in my life. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm a massive Bears fan. And I
Well,
have been.
apparently, I think it was more so, yeah, that play makes me laugh. I think it was more so about the fact that the team itself is kind of legendary at this point, for better or for worse, unfortunately, we're fans of them. So, I think it's one of those where I think he is just saying that because it's one of his 4 teams, but also, like, it's easy to be like, "Oh, it'd be great to be a Bears legend," the team that started it all kinda thing, especially
Yeah.
so I to me, it makes sense that he would talk a lot about that. I'm surprised that he chose the Bears. I would absolutely love to have him on the Bears, but unfortunately, probably a 5% chance that's going probably a 5% chance he's getting traded in the first place. And then
Yeah.
at that point, it's like a 1% chance that he's actually going to go to, uh, the Bears. So,
Yeah. I don't know how they'd be able to mitigate that cap, the dead cap hit. Like, regardless, no matter where he's going, that seems kind of ridiculous.
well, yeah, it's I think it's after June 1st or something like that. They can put him as like a post June 1st trade or something like that, and then he's only 23 million next year as a cap hit, so that makes a little bit more sense. But like again, they've reiterated that especially when like if you actually look at uh the verbiage behind uh like trying to think of the verbiage behind the story is that Russell
Yeah.
Wilson didn't request a trade. It's just that he said that he would go to these teams. And you also have to realize that before this, he was talking about how he was not happy with the team's like obviously offensive line issues because
Yeah.
they can't protect them to save their lives. And then also apparently there was a team meeting where he stormed out of it because he wasn't happy with what they had said or something like that. I can't say exactly, that's what I've heard. So, it's one of those where definitely, obviously, I would love to see him, but again, keep your expectations very realistic in the fact that it's probably a very, very small chance that he's playing for a different team next year even.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it's a leverage play and stuff too. Like, all those stories slowly leak out. And then he's like, I don't want to trade because, like, that's final. But just saying, like, oh, if I wanted one, it would
Well,
be
that's
to
what I'm
these
saying by
places.
you have to understand that he said beforehand that he was like his team was like upset with the way that they're handling the offensive line and the response when he said in his
Definitely.
meeting he like talked about it. So, everybody.
It's
You need
fun
to
off
realize.
season content.
Well, yeah, you need to realize that in the NFL offseason, 99% of the stories you hear are they're shocking, and they're shocking for a certain party in whatever the decision would be, and that's the party that would be putting it out there. Let's put it that way. Like the
Hmm.
whole Carson Wentz thing's a perfect example where they were talking about, oh, the Bears have offered a first round pick and potentially Nick Foles, and potentially even Tariq Cohen included in the deal. And then the Bears came out and were like, we haven't offered a first round pick. And, then it was like, oh, they're getting
Yeah.
first round pick offers for him. And it was like, nobody's offered him a first round pick. So you just have to understand that if you hear something that is kind of shocking or something that would really help a specific team in the deal, whether it be between two teams, if it helps one of the two teams, I can almost guarantee that it was put out probably by that team in some way.
Yeah, and that's super important to remember for like everything. Not even
Yeah.
only sports news, but literally every aspect of life
Yeah.
when there's a weird story that comes out.